3 jars, all labeled honey, all on the same grocery store shelf. Under the microscope, they look like they came from 3 completely different planets. I need to show you guys something. Today we are going under the microscope with honey, and I'm going to be straight with you. I thought this was going to be a very boring video. Honey is honey, right? It comes from bees. It's in a jar. What's there to investigate? Are you kidding me? I have 3 jars right here, all purchased today from the American grocery stores, all labeled 100% pure honey, or something close to it. I'm calling them evidence A, evidence B, and evidence C. I'm not telling you the brands until we get to the whiteboard, because I want you to watch these slides with zero bias. No brand loyalty, no label trust, just the raw data. Drop your vote in the comments right now, A, B, or C. Which one do you think looks like the most different under the microscope? I'll check the votes when we get to the whiteboard. And stick around, because what shows up in on one of those samples at 1,000 times magnification raised questions I was not expecting to ask about something sitting in my own kitchen cabinet. Yeah, I want you guys to watch the whole video. I'm not a liar. All right, enough of the talk. Let's do this. 3 jars. Evidence A, B, and C. Labels are staying down until the whiteboard. I'm taking a small core sample from each jar. You can already see differences, which I find crazy. Adding a single drop of distilled water to help with viscosity and prepping 3 separate slides. Now this one, evidence B. Look at this thing. Isn't it cute? Little bear. You know this bottle. You've seen it on every diner and breakfast table in America, even outside of America. The little bear. I'm not saying anything else about it yet, but I want you to keep this one in mind. I can't do anything with my right hand. I'm left-handed, so bear with me. No pun intended. 3 slides ready. Let's start with evidence A as an alpha. Evidence A, 40 times magnification. Let's do this, you guys. You ready? Fluid, amber, completely consistent at this level. Normal looking. Let's go ahead and move this up to 100 times. I'm starting to see some patterns forming at this margin. Let's push it up to 400 times. Okay, now here's where it gets a little interesting. So look at the structure of this one, you guys. Look at the geometry. It's very consistent, very regular, almost like it was designed that way. Every pattern almost identical to the one next to it. I'm going to keep looking at this. I'm going to keep moving across the slide. Let's get to the kill shot. 1,000 times. Oil immersion. Let's go. We're going to the absolute limit. It's very clean, remarkably clean. I've got thoughts, but I'm holding them until the whiteboard. I want you to form your own before I tell you what I'm seeing. Evidence A, filed. Moving to evidence B. Evidence B, the little cute bear, 40 times. Significantly more fluid, much more translucent. At 40 times, this already looks nothing like evidence A. So we're going to 100 times. Okay, so almost no structural patterns at 100 times. Where evidence A was showing geometric shapes at this level, evidence B is almost completely clear. Let's go to 400 times. Guys, are you seeing this? This is almost completely empty. I don't know how else to describe it, but evidence A had structure. This is almost none. It looks like a completely different substance. I need to go to 1,000 times. You ready for it? The molecular front line. Okay, stop. You see those moving particles right there? Do not change the channel. I'm not explaining that right now. I'm explaining that at the whiteboard, but I want you to see it. I want that image in your head. Burn it in your head. Don't forget it, okay? Evidence B is filed. Moving to evidence C. Evidence C, last one, 40 times. Okay, immediately this one is different. Even at 40 times, there's visible texture in this fluid. It looks heavier, cloudier, more going on inside at just a glance. 100 times. There's a lot of material in this sample. Non-uniform, irregular. It does not look like evidence A or evidence B at all. Is that good or bad? I don't know. So let's go to 400 times. Whoa, this is a very different slide. Look at the density of this. Look at the irregular patterns. Look at all the material distributed through this sample. Evidence A was uniform. Evidence B was almost empty. Evidence C is busy, complex. There's a lot happening at this level. So we're going to 1,000 times. The kill shot. Yeah, this one's dramatically different sample from the first 2. I know what I'm looking at, and I'm not going to tell you guys exactly what it means at the whiteboard. All 3 slides are done. Let's put them side by side. Evidence A, left. Evidence B, center. Evidence C, right. So you've been watching these slides for quite some time. You've got your votes in the comments, or don't you? You better. Before I flip these jars, I need to explain something, because without the science, the reveal doesn't land at all. Let's go to the whiteboard. What are we actually looking at in real honey? What does the microscope care about? 3 things, you guys. Number 1 is the pollen. Pollen grains are the biological fingerprint of real honey. Oval-shaped, species-specific, microscopic. When bees collect nectar pollen from the flower comes with it, it ends up in the honey. It belongs there. Forensic scientists can actually identify what region honey came from just by analyzing its pollen profile. Different flowers, different pollen shapes. You guys ever hear about that? That's how precise this science gets. Number 2, irregular crystallization. Real honey crystallizes because of a natural ratio of glucose and fructose. And those ratios vary because they come from different flower sources. That's why real honey crystallizes irregularly, non-uniform, jagged, uneven, natural. When you see perfectly uniform, perfectly geometric crystallization, that's a huge red flag. Number 3, biological complexity. Real, minimally processed honey contains enzymes, specifically diastase, which bees add during nectar processing. You can't see the enzyme under the microscope directly, but you can see what it leaves behind: texture, depth, material, and a mess. Now, what removes all 3 of these things? You guessed it, ultra-filtration. When honey gets heated and forced through ultrafine membranes to extend shelf life and prevent crystallization on the shelf, the pollen gets stripped, the enzyme activity gets destroyed, the biological complexity disappears. What's left is a very clean, very shelf-stable product. Okay, so the pollen is gone, the enzymes are gone, the biological complexity is gone. Who cares, Mr. Bill, right? It's still sweet. It still tastes like honey. Well, here's who cares. Pollen in honey isn't just a byproduct, it's one of the most nutritionally dense substances bees produce. Antioxidants, amino acids, anti-inflammatory compounds, over 250 biologically active substances identified in raw honey pollen. That's not me making that up, that's just published research. The enzymes, they matter too, specifically glucose oxidase. That's the enzyme responsible for producing small amounts of hydrogen peroxide inside the real honey. That's the natural antimicrobial mechanism. That's why real honey has been used to treat wounds for literally thousands of years. That's why archaeologists pulled 3,000-year-old honey out of Egyptian tombs and it was still edible. When you ultra-filter honey, when you strip the pollen and destroy the enzyme activity, you're not just changing the appearance, you're removing the biological mechanisms that made honey worth eating in the first place. What you're left with is basically fructose and glucose in an amber bottle. Legal, shelf-stable, and profitable. But the scope doesn't lie about what's actually in there. And here's the best part that should genuinely bother you. Ultra-filtered honey with no pollen content cannot be traced back to a geographic source. You cannot verify what country it came from. The FDA has found ultra-filtered honey imported from countries with questionable food safety standards, sometimes cut with corn syrup or rice syrup, where the only way to verify origin is through pollen record. Guess what? No pollen, no record, no accountability. I'm not a doctor. I'm a guy with a microscope. But the data is what the data is. So now let's talk about what you've been buying. And here's what makes this complicated. It still meets the FDA's legal definition of honey. Are you kidding me? So let's look at what we found. Evidence A, great value 100% pure honey, Walmart store brand, grade D, ultra-filter, no pollen under the scope, zero geometric uniform crystallization, exactly what it described as a flag. Remarkably clean at 1,000 times. It carries a legal name. The microscope says the biology was processed out of it. It's honey's ID card on a completely different product. Evidence B, busy Bee Squeezable, the little bear. I can't little bear. I give him a grade D minus, and I'm being generous. Featureless at 400 times, almost no crystalline structures at any magnification. And those moving particles I told you, remember, at 1,000 times, that's Brownian motion, microscopic particles being knocked around by free water molecules. You guys ever hear about that? In real honey, the water activity is low enough to be naturally antimicrobial. That's why archaeologists have found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs that was still edible. What evidence B showed me at 1,000 times suggests that natural concentration has been compromised. No pollen, no structure, high free water activity. This is the most processed sample I've put under the scope in months. Diner tables across America are full of these. Nobody questions it. I'm questioning it. Evidence C is in Charlie. Nature Nate's raw and unfiltered honey. I gave this guy a grade A. Go back to that 400 slide. What you were looking at, those irregular structures distributed through the whole sample. Pollen, the biological and fingerprint. It's there because nobody stripped it out. Irregular crystallization throughout. Dense biological complexity at every magnification. At 1,000 times, the most structurally rich sample I've examined in this category. This is what honey is supposed to look like before industry decided shelf life mattered more than the product. 1 out of 3 jars I grabbed off American grocery store shelves this week has what I call real honey in it. I'm not here to tell you what to buy, you guys. I'm just showing you the reality that marketing doesn't. The truth is in the cells. You decide. If you want to know what else is actually in your food, what the label says versus what the microscope shows, subscribe, because we are not done. Not even close. I'm making 3 videos a week. So drop your vote in the comments. Did your guess match your results? And tell me what you want on the bench next. All right, you guys, the microscope doesn't lie. Now you know. I'll see you back in the real world. Oh, watch this video about Spam versus Vienna sausage versus corned beef in the can. Pretty disgusting.